Counselor for Public Affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Islamabad, Pakistan. He has had many, many years of outstanding international service and has served overseas in Tokyo, Japan, Amman, Jordan, Rabat, Morocco, Manama, Bahrain, and Sanaa, Yemen. So we welcome all of them, and please, Zunaid.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. In her 1999 song titled Hands, Grammy-nominated artist Jewel sings, "If I could tell the world just one thing, it would be that we're all okay, and not to worry, because worry is wasteful and useless in times like these." I never quite understood whether the gifted folk and country artist was being sarcastic or just playfully ignorant in her vision of the state of the world affairs before the turn of the century. Much has happened since that song to warrant the assertion that the world is not okay, and though it is not my purpose here today to catalogue the injustices and hardships faced by people all over the world, I hope that I succeed in encouraging you to embark on international exchanges, be it for cultural, professional, or educational purposes, and that you recognize how imperative this is in improving perceptions about your country and in breaking down the stereotypes or prejudices that we may have. The role of the youth in bringing about positive social transformation in our world has been emphasized frequently before. But for a teenager faced with the challenges of peer pressure, of making tough decisions about his or her future career, of being able to ward off excessive desires and pleasures, of dealing with one's appearance or self-image, of coming to terms with financial responsibilities, and of discovering yourself through all of these challenges, it is easy to forget sometimes that you can also play a role in changing the world. I was recently reminded of our power as young people through an episode of Oprah. A program called Challenge Day was implemented at Monroe High School in Michigan, a school said to be one of many plagued by racial tension and other forms of prejudice. The program sought to bring together a group of students from different walks of life and help them break down their walls and to form a bond with each other. Boys and girls of different races, ethnic backgrounds, sizes, sexual orientations participated in the challenge. It was hurtful watching young teens divulge how they were ostracized or verbally abused by other students because of their appearance or belief system. One by one, students vented their hurt feelings, whilst others confessed their ignorance and bigoted mindsets. I was touched by a student named Lucretia, who stood up and broke the silence in a room full of strangers who were now giving her overwhelming support. She said, "Today, when one person hugged me and they told me, 'I love you,' for that 30 seconds you were hugging me, I felt the most love I felt in all my life." There were hurtful apologies mentioned personally to each other by teachers to students, peers to peers, whilst others pleaded forgiveness tearfully and pledged to embrace all their peers from that day forward. Watching the show, it occurred to me that the problems faced in Monroe High School in Michigan were also being experienced in schools in my own home country of South Africa, and I am even sure they are faced in most other parts of the world. It made me wonder how true the words of Maya Angelou are, that what makes us the same is far more important than what makes us different. Why don't we just get that? I am a South African born and bred who has been allowed to pursue a postgraduate degree here in film thanks to the Fulbright Program. The Fulbright Program is the largest U.S. international exchange program offering opportunities for students and professionals to undertake international graduate study, advanced research, or university or school level teaching. Since its inception in 1946, the Fulbright Program's mandate has been to increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and the rest of the world through educational, cultural, or professional exchanges. Its founder, Senator William Fulbright, believed that the prejudices and misconceptions which exist in every country regarding foreign people are the great barrier to any system of government. He said, if the peoples of the world could get to know each other better, live together, and learn side by side, maybe they would be more inclined to cooperate and less willing to go off and kill each other. The words of Senator Fulbright all those years ago ring true today and invoke the notion I believe we have to accept, that of becoming global citizens. As the 21st century imperative, global citizenship is not just about nationality, passports, or where one votes, nor does it entail the creation of some government demanding one give up allegiance to their home state. Becoming a global citizen asks us to develop a knowledge and consciousness of a wider circle of human interaction. It asks us to develop an awareness of world affairs, to acquire critical thinking skills, to analyze such events, and evaluate the ethical dimensions of these issues, leading to actions that could make the world a better place. But these undertakings require sensitivity to other cultures, religions, and ethnic groups, and this begins with acquiring knowledge about other people. It is said that if one cannot find Korea, Kosovo, Kuwait, or Kyrgyzstan on a map, you may have difficulty understanding the concerns of your next door neighbor. But knowledge about these obtained from books or the internet and research papers alone, though an excellent starting point, is not adequate. I realized this as a teacher and researcher in intercultural communications for the last 3 years, that despite the number of workshops and seminars held with students from all over the world and drawn even from my culturally rich country, I needed to live with other people, to eat in their dining rooms together, sit in their living rooms and chat together, visit wonderful places with them, attend a concert and enjoy it together, and spend time working together. This is one of the reasons I chose to get out of my comfort zone and visit the United States. And let me say this, if I can do this, anyone can. This is my first trip ever outside of my country. I have usually chickened out from the chance to travel outside of my country, but I realized that this was important for me to do. Before I left my country, I pondered long and hard over my perceptions of the US. As a male, Indian, Muslim, South African, what were my feelings about the people of the US? I guess I'm not a case in point for the argument that says that interacting with people from other countries can alter the negative perceptions each party holds of the other. Since I have always held positive opinions about your country, as a teenager growing up, some of my biggest positive influences were Americans. Oprah Winfrey, Mariah Carey, Bill Clinton, and Gary Zukav. Like many South Africans, I grew up on a diet of The Bold and the Beautiful, an American soap opera that has been the highest rated television show in my country for the last 17 years. In many ways, this show has been my manual for discovering what Americans are really like. You are just like me. You will love when your heart is set on it. You will tell a white lie when you need to protect those you love. You will strive for your dreams and work hard to achieve them, be they simple or grand. You will falter and struggle along the way, sometimes making bad decisions, but then you will find your way again. And when you reach the top, you will extend your hand and try to help someone else. This is what makes us the same. I was always careful not to resort to snap judgments about decisions that your politicians here have made, because if we looked really closely, our anger with these decisions was only a reflection of our own hate and guilt towards ourselves for the injustices that we have each committed against others on a smaller scale at some point in our past. The lonely student we chose to ignore during school breaks on the playground because he looked like a nerd, or the domestic worker or janitor we never chose to greet because he or she was not worth it. The struggling reader in our class we may have laughed at instead of making time out of our schedule to help him improve. The way we might have sneered at those who did not sport the latest fashion accessory, or the strange-looking goth girl we quickly branded as a disciple of Satan, never venturing to talk to her or get to know her in order to really understand what she believed in. And so it is that I came to the United States, looking to discover what were your perceptions of me. How would you treat me, America? Should I be confident when I say that I am from South Africa, a country with one of the highest HIV infection rates in the world, whose dark apartheid legacy you are all well aware of? Should I be confident when I say that I am a Muslim? What would you think of me when I said these things to you? And today I stand here, 6 months after my arrival. You have welcomed me with open arms. You let me stay at beautiful, historically significant universities, nestled amid the vast green open spaces of Pennsylvania. You took me to majestic gardens and to stately museums in Washington, D.C. You took me through the city of brotherly love and let me run up those famous rocky stairs. You served me the freshest and most organic strawberry ice cream I have ever eaten, made by the Amish people. You let me dine with one of my favorite film directors of all time, John Carpenter. You let me headbang in the front row at my favorite band's live gig, Evanescence. And let me ask the gorgeous lead singer, Amy Lee, a question. You let me into your homes and shared meals with me on a daily basis, allowed me to serve you some of my favorite desserts, like sojika halwa or faluda, only to discover that you had eaten the little bit I put in the fridge I was saving for later. You took me shopping and got me addicted to Target, and I hate you for that. You asked me about my religion, about my thoughts on 9/11, about my family, my country. You worked with me enthusiastically, advised me when I needed your guidance, and asked me for help when you needed mine. Wrote encouraging emails to me about my performance in various tasks. You trusted me with your home, bothered me for candy several times on Halloween night, and shared the magic of Christmas with me. And most of all, you asked me to discover who I am. For these things, I can safely say that beyond what you think you believe, you do perceive me positively too. I do appreciate the way the University of Southern California Center of Public Diplomacy has defined public diplomacy so as to include not just all formal government-sponsored cross-cultural programs aimed at promoting the national interest of a country through understanding, informing, and influencing foreign audiences, but also to include the influence of pop culture, fashion, news, and sports on nations across the globe. I think many people have learned much about America from these channels, which is a key motivation for me being here as well. I wanted to learn the craft of film as it is practiced in the classical Hollywood mode, and take home with me this knowledge in order that I may educate others about a system of film and television making that South Africans love. But if I were to leave you with one important message today on the subject of engaging in dialogue with the nations of the world, it is that I hope you do this without the limited view of protecting national security and merely enhancing economic might. Self-interest alone provides a dubious motivation for connecting with the world, leading nations down the path of conquest, exploitation, and war. We need to be concerned about people around the world for their sakes as well as for our own. It is immoral for us not to act when others are confronted by famine, genocide, and natural disasters. That painfully thin Ethiopian baby we see should not just be the object of our wallets and purses. She is someone's daughter or sister and is as worthy of a life of quality as you and I are. We all have a responsibility that extends beyond our immediate purviews. Let us not be swept away by the economics of globalization, which can make us thing-oriented as opposed to person-oriented. Let us move for the sake of compassion, generosity, and community, and not for calculated self-interest. And so it is that I come back to Jewel's great song, where she sings that we are all God's hands. If this is not true, if this is true that we are God's hands, we have no choice but to do good to each other and ourselves. I thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Carrie Walters, and I am a master's student here at USC, and I am in the Master's in Public Diplomacy program here. And just to give you a brief idea about what that entails, you've heard a little bit about the definition of public diplomacy, but in my mind, I've always kind of thought that public diplomacy is, on one side, it's, you think traditional